Starfleet Underground. Every week, we'll take a look at the latest Star Trek news and then check out a current or classic episode of Star Trek.
After the infamous Romulan minefield incident, a computer-controlled alien repair station fixes up Enterprise, mends Malcolm Reed's leg, and abducts Travis Mayweather, all while making a quick 200 liters of good old-fashioned warp plasma. But it's a trap. Archer blows the whole thing up and makes a quick getaway.
So, seriously? So how long is this going to be gone for? A week? Oh, this is going to be cool. So, okay. Well, at least we picked up, one of our most awesome people. So thank you. Dot, you can go now. Thanks. Oh, the light's on. Okay, cool. Good day and welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Starfleet Underground. Of course, if you don't know my name by now, I should be really upset and irritated, not even tell you, because you should have been listening to us for a long, long time.
It's in the show notes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, anyway, I'm going to still introduce myself. My name is Nathan Adams, and we're short 2 crew members, but we also have an awesome guest that came in. So that's even more impressive. I'm sure you once you hear her name, you'd be excited as we are to have her on board. Patrick is not with us today because apparently he made such an impression that he was requested for a personal audience with Gowron himself.
Whoa.
So that's going to be interesting when we get his mission report because, he gave him the Gowron eyes. So it's I wonder what he got into trouble for.
He says,
or maybe
what
not.
big eyes you have. You have no idea.
Serious. I'm looking forward to hearing that report when it comes by. Heather is also not with us today because once again, Section 31 has grabbed her for something.
Oh, Section 31. That figures. I thought maybe she was gone shopping or something, but
no, because you remember.
Yeah, okay.
You remember a couple of weeks ago that Giorgio actually had to rescue her from fiddling with the Borgs.
Right.
So apparently something came up from that meeting they had, and Giorgio herself requested Heather. So it's going to be interesting.
Happy to fill that request.
Yeah, especially with Giorgio.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime she looks at me, I feel like a kid in kindergarten that I was, caught doing something wrong, even though I didn't do anything
You
wrong.
didn't do a darn thing wrong, but you felt like it. Yeah,
No.
I know exactly the feeling.
Seriously, she looks at you and you feel like you just need to confess things right off the bat.
That's a feeling of respect right there.
Yeah, it is. However, I'm excited that we have Stephanie here today. Steph.
Yay! Hello. Reporting for duty.
And go ahead and introduce yourself for in case somebody, which I strongly doubt how you are not known, doesn't know you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm a science officer. I kind of come in and out as needed, when there's an emergency or Patrick gets Gowron eyes, which can be contagious, by the way. Everybody make sure you're inoculated. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here.
And of course, it's always also beyond awesome to have you here. So, I mean, seriously, you bring in a ray of sunshine and steel. I love it.
Aw, thanks, Captain.
And we have here also, of course, our illustrious engineer, winner of the O'Brien Award. We're lucky to have him. I feel he's like the best engineer in the entire fleet, only because O'Brien is retired.
You're going to make me blush again. You're making me blush. Hi, everybody. I'm Rocky Robinson. I'm the engineer of the show and the ship. And I just got to tell you guys, I am really happy with this little side project I'm working on. I've got an amazing deal. I got a billion surplus TI-84 calculators. Like these are old school, like the calculator, right? And I've got them hooked up with a bunch of tribbles and they're cranking out numbers and they're going to get me some Bitcoin. They've been working for only a week, right? And so far, no Bitcoin just yet. But I feel like it's just any moment. I've got this one tribble that jumps up, rolls on over, and excited, and shows me his calculator. And I'm like, oh, we got Bitcoin. No, it says boobies. It's upside down when you look at it. It's like, thanks a lot, Tribble.
I know which one that is. That's the one with the pink hair ribbon, right?
Possibly.
It actually got into Heather's lipstick, and Heather doesn't wear lipstick, so she'll never miss it.
Anyway, That's what's going on in engineering right now.
Well, that's good. I'm going to stay away from engineering because those things creep me out sometimes. Yeah. To let everyone know, just in case, our show is being brought to you by Section 31 and our Patreon members. So thank you so much. And if you're a member of our Patreon group, we have all kinds of fun stuff for you, like postcards from the Tribbles, trips where they go on. We have behind the scenes stuff. We get little things that happen with the crew and nudes that may or may not be authentic. So the only way to find out is to at least join up. And that'll help keep the Tribbles neutered because we've managed to keep the population down so far. So that's most awesome. Okay, now corrections. Since Patrick's not here for our corrections, I'm going to assume we're flawless. If not, he'll let us know.
I thought we did pretty good last time. So
yeah, I think we caught some errors that ourselves during the show, which shows us how professional and cool we are. But we're going to still have the news for those of you that like the news segment. And Stephanie, what do you have for us?
I have something for our European listeners. Viacom CBS has partnered with Sky, and they are bringing Paramount Plus and Star Trek Prodigy to Europe. Huzzah!
What? Outstanding. Now they don't have to wait forever in a day.
Exactly. I am personally very excited for Star Trek Prodigy. That looks so good.
It does. I mean, it's got the adventure in it right off the bat, and the characters look new and amazing, and of course Janeway's involved.
Janeway's the best.
So excited for Prodigy.
Yeah.
I am very, very much looking forward to it. So it's going to be friggin' amazing. I mean, this is the year for Trek. I mean, seriously, for the next 5 years, 6 years, what did it say, Rocky, about Kurtzman?
I heard it was unplugged. It was canceled.
That's the rumor that they had before, but apparently the rumor was wrong.
Somebody got a nice check. That's all I'm saying. 160 million, was it? Something around there. I was just like, all the naysayers are just like going, huh? But, what are you going to do?
Yeah, they're all upset about that because they predicted incorrectly that it was gone.
I mean, you either hate the new Trek or you like the new Trek. I mean, between you and me, guys, growing up with Star Trek, it's not exactly the same Star Trek, but that's okay because it's still Star Trek. And it gives you an escape into that world that you want to get into. So, yeah, you can get really upset over mushroom spore drives and a screaming child causing a burn thing. But come on, guys, it's science fiction. This is what it's all about. So I'm totally on board. New Star Trek. I'm loving Picard. I'm waiting for more. I mean, I want to get to the convention so I can applaud in the same room as Patrick Stewart so he can hear me applaud for him because, oh my God, it was so awesome. So, the new Trek haters, I mean, I don't want to say go suck it, but go suck it.
Well, also, the thing to remember is that, and I struggled with Discovery the first season, but the best thing about Star Trek is that it can speak to things that are in the zeitgeist, right? And these new Treks are doing that in a fantastic way that makes it engaging and exciting and is able to speak to audiences where they are. I think they're fantastic.
The production value is, modern day science fiction. It is at the top of the quality chart.
Yeah.
I love Star Trek right now. I'm having so much fun watching it it came a long way. It was a long road and getting from there to here. For crying out loud, I'm on a podcast about it. That's how much I'm enjoying this. So,
yeah.
I mean, look at the early sci-fi where Buck Rogers, you could clearly see the string as his ship went across the screen.
But they also had roller skating, dancing in space. So
and it
Buck
was
Rogers
the 80s. So, yeah.
So compared to now, which is awesome.
Yeah. I love the little meme they have out there where they talk about how, they faked the moon landing footage. It's all fake. And then they show you the state-of-the-art special effects from 1960s. It's the big hand holding the Enterprise in place. It's like, come on, guys, really? It's just something else. And Buck Rogers, my goodness, I loved that show. At least the first season's worth. That was so much fun.
The second season's great.
I've got to watch it. It's just been I haven't had a rewatch in a while. So I mean, I remember going and when I was dragged to my mother's work on the weekends because she'd go in and work on the weekend, we'd get the little TV and I get to watch Buck Rogers off the antenna. It was so much fun.
Oh heck yeah! It's one of my favorite shows. I love that show.
Dibby.
Yeah,
Tweaky.
Yeah, well, Mel Blanc's One of the things that I remember growing up is that when I used to watch Tarzan, and I enjoyed watching Tarzan, my dad would always come in and look at it and go, that's not my Tarzan. My Tarzan is Johnny Westmore. And people are forgetting that I can understand why some of the reluctance is, because some people like myself, unfortunately, the boomers who grew up watching the original series, uses that as a ruler against every other Star Trek that comes along. And they did it with the Next Generation. The hate and the vitriol they had for the Next Gen was like, what did they do to Kirk? They split him into two people. You know, he's like Picard, and he's old and bald, and you get Riker, who's the horn dog. And what? Data is Spock?
What's up with that counselor? That's a weird thing.
What the hell? So, but then after the first couple of seasons, when they found their legs, it really grew. But also there are people who grew up watching The Next Generation. That's their first Trek. And now that becomes for them what TOS became for me and the other boomers. And they use that as a measuring tool. And then you have other people who grew up watching, starting with DS9 or Voyager or that. And so don't take away somebody's joy because Discovery might be their first Trek. And I think they're doing, like Stephanie said, they're doing a really good job of pressing social issues, of showing total acceptance and everything else. Because I know you guys heard me mention this on the show, watching Star Trek, every time they land on a planet, it was a planet full of white people. There was never any other race. And so it's like, what? The whole universe is nothing but white or green people or blue. And then
shame on the early casting agents. But it's just a weirder time back then.
It was.
They had the problem even all the way through Voyager, because they would land on a planet.
We see it on Enterprise too.
Well, right. It's just white people in brown face or black face or, whatever face. It's horrifying. It's horrifying. So the fact that they are actually having a diverse cast and they are having diverse crew in that you've got like directors and writers and producers and so forth that are not just white guys, it's refreshing. And there's always going to be people who push back on that because it's not what they're used to. And quite frankly, it's good that we're not, that this is different from what we're used to, because what we're used to sucks. Not the old Treks. I love the old Treks, but you know what I mean? That just having that white guy, period, like white guy everything, it's not representative.
Infinite diversity and infinite combinations is exactly a beautiful, beautiful thing they came up with.
And they started it. They did kind of start it with Enterprise and Voyager, because unfortunately you had Ensign Kim, who was Asian American, but yet he was never promoted. So what was up with that? Then you have Enterprise. You have a multicultural crew. They just happened to land on those planets, but they got better as the season progressed. There was more other races represented. And then you have also on Enterprise, they also talked about poly relationships for when it comes to Dr. Phlox. And then Discovery, you just blew the hatch off. And then with Picard, they have everything on there. They have every race, every sexual orientation.
Even androids.
Everything. Androids, you name it, the works. So I think that's pretty cool. Then it also, on Picard, it shows you what happened if you disrespect Alexa or Siri. They can get really pissed, go to their own planet, and threaten to blow up everything.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful. Did you get finished with your news? Because I just realized we ran on a tangent.
Yeah, I think we've covered the tangent very well.
Yeah, we did.
I think we're pretty good on that news.
Okay.
Did I get to my news yet?
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
I was going to say, I didn't get to my news.
So go ahead, your news.
Yeah, my actual news was
not
talking
your
about
nudes. Your news.
Excuse me, my news was about the Star Trek movies. Apparently, they're hopping streaming networks.
What?
So, and when June hit, all of the original series movies was on the Paramount Plus network, and the Next Gen movies were two, and they just added Star Trek Beyond and Star Trek Into Darkness. And then somebody said, okay, now we're moving all of the movies, or at least all of the TOS and TNG movies, off of the Paramount network and to the AMC Plus streaming service, except for one TNG movie, the Generations movie, did not. It's currently in limbo. So I don't know exactly what's going on. We think it's a deal that was previously made before the Paramount CBS merger happened. Like, so they had some streaming deal inked out, ages before. And that's what's going on with these movies. They've bounced over to another streaming service. And before everybody completely freaks out, because this is kind of frustrating. You go, okay, I'm going to go look for Star Trek 2. I need to look at a scene from Star Trek 2 real quick. It's not there. Where did it go? Fortunately, I already purchased it on iTunes, so I was able to just pull up my iTunes collection and watch it there. But this is a good reason to still go out and buy the hard media, the Blu-rays and the DVDs and, the bootleg VHSs or even the official VHSs. Did anybody have a VHS player? Anyway, we think that early 2022, Star Trek The Motion Picture is going to be remastered and back on Paramount Plus. So if you're looking for the movies, it's not on Paramount Plus right now. They've flipped them over to AMC Plus.
Can I ask a question though?
Sure.
Wasn't the whole selling point for Paramount Plus that you would have literally all of the Star Treks?
From a Star Trek fan point of view, yes. And we don't know what the F. Honestly, that's my...
they're beginning to make room. ANC needs a little help on ASC Plus because the only thing they have really going for them is The Walking Dead. So they want to try to shift some things there.
Yeah, that sounds like an AMC problem.
Yeah,
it's kind of Paramount Plus is like, hey, I'm going to help a brother out. So
yeah. So they're going to do that for a little while. But also, since they inked that deal with Kurtzman, they're going to have a whole bunch of Trek hitting Paramount. So that's going to be pretty cool.
I like to think of it of just spreading the love around.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where Patrick's with Gowron, I think. But that's another
Not
story.
that kind of love.
Yeah. However, my news... if you were done with yours, yes,
go
no?
for it.
Okay. LeVar Burton, and we all love LeVar Burton. I mean, dude, seriously, he's going to, how much he loves all reading and the written word. And if you didn't see him on Jeopardy, shame on you. He did such a wonderful job as a host. Well, his likeness and his voice is going to be preserved as a Tonie for his book, The Rhino Who Swallowed the Storm. So that's going to be pretty cool. If you haven't heard it, it's going to be an audio system for children, and it's going to be a combination of the Tonie box, which is this shockproof little portable speaker QB thing that has no screens or sharp edges or complicated controls. And it's got little figures that containing stories and songs and all kinds of things. And he has his voice is going to be on there from the book of the young rhino who winds up learning how to deal with his feelings after a disaster. So it's going to be pretty cool. And the book itself won a Chicago Tribune 2015 Young Adults Literary Award. So that I might get, even though I'm not a child. Well, I'm a child at heart, but I think that's going to be pretty cool. I think that's it for our news. And normally this is the point where I would go, Heather, give us the recap. But instead I get to go, Rocky.
What?
Give us the recap.
Oh, me?
Yes, right. You this time.
Okay. I'm not going to do this anywhere near the amount of justice that Heather does this, but I will give it my best here.
Now, here's Rocky without the burnt toast.
No burnt toast. Good. Excellent. Okay. So Star Trek Enterprise Season 2, Episode 4. It's called Dead Stop, aired originally October 9th, 2002, and it was nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Special Visual Effect in 2003. They said, oh, hey, that episode is really good. Let's nominate that for an Emmy. Directed by Roxanne Dawson. Okay, here's the teaser. It's been 4 days since we had that intimate encounter with a Romulan minefield. Archer and Trip are in the inspection pod, taking a good look at the damage. If they hit that mine only like another meter to the left, ooh, it would have been really bad. But if you think that was bad, if they had enough titanium alloy to repair the damage, it would still take at least 3 to 4 months. And, well, the ship's pretty crippled. It can't get past warp 2.1. And, oh yeah, also a decade away from Jupiter Station. The subspace antenna is broken, which means they can't get Netflix right now. And, they're also out of coffee. Archer reluctantly decided that maybe they should actually call for some help.
That's a hell of a thing to realize. You get this ship supposed to be state of the art, and the damage basically put a governor on it where they got to limp along at 2.1 and going the 10 years to get to a repair station.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think that I see the only flaw in that part of it, even though the story was good, that Starfleet in itself, they had other warp capable ships. Would it probably, if Enterprise didn't answer or anything else, they would send out like a NCIS team or something. What happened to the ship?
Yeah, where'd they go? We're expecting them somewhere. Well, let's go send out someone to look for it. It's going to take a while, though. That's the thing. That space is so big and the amount of time it takes.
Oh, we found that out when they tried to order AAA last time.
Yeah, right. It reminds me of when you take your bicycle out on a nice ride on a big trail and you pedal your ass off really hard for a good, 30, 40 minutes. You're out there in the middle of nowhere and then you get a flat tire. Fuck is basically the thing you say. And you have to push and walk the bike back because you try to pump it back up and the hole's so big it doesn't make any difference. So you're walking your bike back. Then it's taken a lot longer than that 30 or 40 minutes that got you out there in the first place.
This feels like a personal experience.
I may or may not be talking from personal experience.
Oh, man.
What did you think about the teaser, Steph? The beginning part of it. Yeah.
I did like the fact that they were addressing the technological limitations of early Starfleet. I did like that, and reminding us of the vastness of space, because at times it can feel a lot smaller. But I agree with you in that it didn't really make sense that Starfleet wouldn't be monitoring what was going on with their ships, and that somebody wouldn't be like, hey, we haven't heard from Archer in a while. Maybe we should do something about that.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it reminds me of, you grow up watching Star Trek and you go, starships are out there, out there by themselves exploring the world. And then you learn about real ships on the ocean, and they actually have a fleet with the ships. So it's not just an aircraft carrier. It's got a couple destroyers going by, probably a couple tankers or something. It's like a whole armada of ships floating around together, cruising. They got a crew together, They do it in groups.
And they have to. They have to do it that way for that exact reason. If something happens to one of them, you can't just leave them there and be like, well, we'll see you in 10 years when you get to Jupiter Station. One of my biggest issues with Enterprise, and I know that this is something that happens across Star Trek, but for some reason I cannot forgive it with Enterprise, is everything is so convenient. Like, all of these issues come up, and isn't it convenient for a plot?
Yeah. There's no MacGuffin in this situation, except of course they run into one, but that's okay.
Yeah, it all just felt a bit too on the nose, where it's like, oh, we need to have a conflict. I know. The ship won't work, so we're going to be away from everybody. What could possibly happen?
And yeah, that was interesting for them to see and realize just how close they came to total disaster with everything. And like you just said, and Rocky is like, but the one thing that I will give them on this part was just like what Rocky said. It was interesting to see finally consequences, because most of the shows that we've seen, except for like the two-parters, when stuff broke on the ship, by the time the next episode came, everything is shiny and new again.
Yeah, I did like that part, because you're right. We just don't see consequences.
Yeah, that was definitely part of the design of the episode. The writers, they made several notes in the memory alpha that the writers made it a point to say, this is what we wanted to do with this episode, because all the time, you have the major Starfleet battle going on, and the next episode, everything's shiny and new and ready to go. It doesn't work like that in real life, and it didn't work like that between Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 3, if you guys are doing the movie nerd thing. And it doesn't work in this episode, because once you encounter a Romulan minefield, you've got to deal with the consequences.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I would say new Heather.
Is that next section?
Our next section.
Okay. Going on to Act 1. Reed's leg is also in need of repair. Phlox is helping, but it hurts. And even if it's unethical, it's still allowed to hurt. Perhaps a positive attitude would help, but it's going to still take 2 weeks to fix. Archer's squeaky floor is still squeaky, and even Porthos is getting pissed off with it. And a Tellarite freighter responds to the radio call, except their radio is really fucked up, and they barely get any reception at all. And you get some coordinates to go to a nearby repair station, which sounds like a good way to go. It's just 3.5 days later, they warp it over to the station. They get there, but nobody's home, no biosigns, no nothing, and all of a sudden they get hit with a very strong scan, a biomolecular probe, and nobody asked permission to give them this probe, but they got it anyway. So fortunately, it was the good kind of probing, because the station suddenly changes its configuration and offers to fix them up in a jiffy with just the cost of a little bit of warp plasma and no questions asked, because your inquiry was not recognized.
That part, when they came across this floating shell Exxon station that was there, and they look at it and goes, we can't fit. There's no way we can fit. What? It's configuring itself to allow us to fit. First thing in my mind, I would have been similar to Archer, and I was like, well, this is really awesome. Why what? Why would somebody
Is anybody there?
Yeah.
This is too good to be true. Hang on a second.
It's just like you get somebody in New York on the street and says, here's a genuine gold Rolex for like $30.
Ooh, that's a killer deal.
You know,
Let me get my cash out. Let me count it out for you.
Too good to be true. And the first time it gets wet, the gold runs off on your arm. So, you know, so you're wondering what the hell. But the thing I thought was a little bit of comic relief was with Reed and Phlox. I thought that was funny. It's like, I don't want the worms in my body. It's like, they'll come out eventually.
I love the, like, this is painful. It's unethical to harm a patient. But Phlox is like, yeah, that's true, but I can inflict pain. Nobody says anything about inflicting pain. It's just about not harming you. So fixing you still hurts, and I'm going to do it anyway.
He's got a point. It never says anything about do no pain. It says do no harm.
It's like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much does this suck? I mean, how much does the pain hurt? I mean, are you okay? Does it hurt when I do this? Okay, we're not going to do okay, let me just a little bit longer. We're going to do a little bit more.
No, well, like my corpsman used to say all the time, it's like all bleeding will eventually stop. And if you're hurting, you're alive.
Ooh, good point.
So,
Oh, man.
I'm worried about where that bloodworm is going to come out. It'll come out on its own eventually.
yeah,
Where?
That's the thing. There's so many places.
You don't. I mean, how many portals does a human have? I mean, are you going to cough it up? That wouldn't be kind of gross. I mean, would come at your nose? That'd be really annoying. You come out. One end is probably okay, but the other end is probably. I don't want it to come out of there. Do you want it to come out of? I don't want it to come out of there. I'm talking about your eye hole.
Yeah, or hopefully your nose, or you cough it up like a noogie. So yeah, that would be interesting. But they make it onto the station, and the station looks like a hospital.
It looks like classic 1980s science fiction to me. It's all white. It looks really cool, and I'm looking at it from my wood making self nowadays because I like to tinker with the wood, and I'm not talking about that. But you look at it and go, well, I could build that. I could get a couple boards from Home Depot and chop it up and just paint it white. I could make one of those.
Yeah, but it looks really kind of. What was the name of the ship with the probability drive in Hitchhike to the Guide to the Galaxy?
Oh, the Lovejoy.
No,
that's not right.
It looked like the inside of that. Everything was all white and sparkly and kind of new. And they had
I love the little directional lights they had. Just like, go this way. I thought it was really slick looking.
It was.
Heart of Gold. Sorry.
Heart
there you
of
go.
Gold.
That sounds right.
Outstanding. And they had the hologram of the ship of the Enterprise basically blinking. It's like, let me show you where it's hurt.
It's like, here's every single scratch and dent you guys have had over the last year.
Including his leg.
Yes. It's very accurate.
We're full featured. Yeah, we're full featured type of person.
It's like, I can fix that, but it's going to cost you.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, and it gave options. Did you realize I thought, and now that you said who directed it, because I missed it, the computer voice was Roxanne and Dawson, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
The minute she
I
started
thought
talking.
I recognized the voice.
They auditioned a whole bunch of people, and she actually was the best sounding one. And I've got to agree, she's a great repair station voice.
She really was.
It also makes sense. It's B'Elanna. I mean, I know that's not who the voice is, but you know what I mean. I love that. I love having her do the voice.
An engineer does the engineering voice.
Yeah, it's so that perfect.
Was cool.
I didn't think about that. That's pretty good. I was just thinking of the fact that they say that for pilots, they always like having a female voice be the voice of the cockpit systems because they always pay more attention to the woman. So why not a repair station voice?
I don't know that that's true. No, just kidding.
When you're flying in a jet by yourself, you'll listen to anybody that's talking to you, honestly.
What I thought was kind of cool, it showed the frustration that sometimes even we have when it comes to computer voice recognition. So he's like, Alexa, turn on your TV, reciting the alphabet from A to Z. No, turn on the TV. This is the life of bees. Oh, God, no.
It's like turn on the lights. Your inquiry was not recognized. It's like, well, let me talk to the other one. Siri, what are you doing? I don't know what you're doing either. Yeah, okay, fine. Google's like, I can look that up for you. This is what I think. And then after, nobody's turning the lights on.
No, and then once you finish asking, all of the voices come back on and go, we hate you. So, but yeah, that was kind of cool. And when it started configuring itself and the computer is telling them that it wants payment, and it gives them options. It's like, we take MasterCard, Visa, or Discover.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty slick. I was like, oh, well, no, don't tap that. It doesn't have Apple Pay. I was really upset it didn't have Apple Pay. For God's sake, shouldn't they have Apple Pay in the future?
Barbarians.
I know.
Yeah, but again, that would make me, it's like, wow, how advanced the technology is. It's going to take you, 35 hours to do what would take months at Jupiter Station?
That was really fast. I was like, really? You can get it that quickly? That sounds amazing.
Yeah, and I didn't know what warp plasma was a thing.
It's just, some plasma we got lying around. It's just like only like 200, how much? I can't remember the amount. It was like 200 something or other, but it didn't sound like a lot of warp plasma compared to the other parts. It was like, you could use this part, and we're like, well, we kind of need the parts, but we don't need the plasma so much. We can make more warp plasma.
Yeah, but again, warp plasma, I have to do some research on that. I didn't know that was, because this is the first or last that we've ever heard of warp plasma. I'm trying to rack my brain if we ever heard the phrase.
I feel like we did. I feel like we have. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember there was an episode we watched. We didn't watch it, but I was rewatching Voyager, and they had the episode where Neelix is trying to sell off some warp plasma and make a deal about getting a map at some station someplace. That. Yeah. It's a thing.
What it is.
It's a thing. And it fits in these nice big pretty barrels that says danger warp plasma.
So they did have that. So
they did. They just slapped a sticker on it. That card.
It was a pretty silver painted barrel, but yeah, it's some danger warp plasma.
It was a bit Wile E. Coyote versus Roadrunner, but
Acme warp plasma.
Yeah.
Be very careful when you get it from that brand.
It turns out, yeah, they should have been. But then they get to the big white hospital dining room where they had, this is a recreation area.
Yeah, like, this is the next part.
There's no dancing?
Yeah, it looked like a very sparse recreation area. It's like you get there and there's nobody here and nothing's going on. There's no DJ. What's up?
I feel like with every good rec area, it's what you make of it.
Exactly.
Oh, that's true. That's true. There should have been somebody sitting there playing spades or bridge. Or
there was no pool table or,
a jukebox or anything. But since we've jumped into the rec room, I guess we could jump into Act 2.
Okay, Act 2. The repair station has a nice while you wait waiting room, complete with complimentary food. It's a good time for all. Even Reed's leg is good as new, being repaired by something that looks suspiciously like an exocomp, because it actually was a reused prop. Anyway, it looks good, and there's not even a scar on his leg, so that's awesome. But Archer smells something fishy, and it ate the catfish. Trip and Reed go exploring to take a look to find out where this repair station's computer is, because it must be super cool and really tiny. And they promise they won't touch anything and obey all trespassing signs, which there aren't any trespassing signs, so they go wherever the fuck they want. And of course, they trip the sensors and get beamed onto the bridge, face down, ass up. Meanwhile, Travis gets a call to meet Archer in Launch Bay 1, right where he's not supposed to be at exactly the wrong time. And wouldn't you know, boom, you're dead.
Okay, first, try to digest this in the way it happened. First off, it was really cool for the first time they're seeing a full-featured replicator.
Full on, not that little, protein resequencing stuff that they got. A full-on hardcore replicator.
Yeah,
awesome stuff.
That was really kind of cool when they have it.
And all they do is make food with it.
Yeah, and Archer is like really it's really kind of, again, it's like, this is too good to be true. So I thought that was definitely.
Archer kind of has a stick up his ass this episode. I don't know if you guys noticed this. He seemed a little bit more pissed off than normal.
Yep.
Oh boy. Did he ever? I'll say this. I know it was supposed to be like Archer coming across as like he's the one guy who figured it out, but instead he just seemed like such a xenophobe and like, you know what I mean? Like everything that was new, he just had to poo-poo it and just be like, I don't trust this.
Well, I want to talk to somebody at least. Let's show me a person. I just don't want to be served by a machine. And I'm like, I'm going to put my Apple Watch up to it and get another Coca-Cola. You don't mind? I want to get another one. This is awesome.
Well, he was kind of like a gearhead who somebody comes up and goes, use toothpaste on your car to get rid of that scratch. What? No, man, this is my car. You don't touch it. So I can see him being
It is an
like
awful lot of work for somebody to work on a starship, let alone an automated station that we'd never seen before, never heard of before, and there's no commercials about this place except for some Tellarites going by. So it's incredibly suspicious.
It is.
Yeah, that would have been. I agree.
Yeah.
And he didn't even want to try the food. I'm sure the food smelled really good, and maybe he's not into fish.
I don't know. I just think he's a baby.
He's like, I'm going back to my waiting room and ready room, and I'm going to go have a tuna sandwich or something, you know?
Yeah, and complain about the squeak in my floor.
Yeah.
He just, the whole episode, he was just so, it's like, why are you a starship captain if you're going to hate everything that's different?
And no thanks. I'm going to have the cook. I'm going to have the chef make me my meal as normal.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. My peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
And the chef is like, what the hell? You could have had something on that station. You're going to make me cook? I was going to have some time off.
Yeah, I was kicking back. Exactly. I was going to go have somebody make something for me for a change.
But I got to give it, we get Tucker and Reed are naturally curious.
They're right out of Scooby-Doo, aren't they?
Yeah, they really, yes. And it was really funny to have T'Pol of all people looking at him on the floor, like you said, ass up.
It's like, that's cool though, because they got beamed out in the same exact, position they were in. They were crawling around, so they got beamed up and set in exactly the same direction. Sometimes you beam up from a place, like you could be sitting somewhere or arched over, and you beam up completely standing straight. And of course, it's what we like to call in the industry a continuity problem, but. But this was perfect as far as I'm concerned. So that was great.
I can understand. This is the one part that I have to agree with Archer. It's like we're guests on this thing doing it. And you basically are trying to sneak into the bedroom and look in the panty drawer. I mean, come on, dude.
I mean,
really?
It must be an awesome computer. They should at least have a display window. There's our badass computer fixing your shit for you. Okay, check it out. They don't have any of that. So the curiosity gets the cat every time.
Yeah. And that's exactly what they were. They were like on their hands and knees, crawling, doing the low crawl through the vents with nice little fans and everything.
I love they had to get, up in there to get into it, though. It wasn't easy. They had to get on my shoulders and stand up. And how did they get both of them in there? It was a lot of work.
Yeah, but they didn't think a station as technical as that would have some sort of intrusion detection.
Yeah, hello. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, really.
I will say it was a bit odd that the station could see everything, and yet it let them get into the ducts.
Well, when you're a station that powerful, it doesn't matter. Because
it probably was like
the second they get there, you're just like, oh, get the fuck out of here. Go away. Yeah.
It's probably let's impress these little peons.
I'm surprised.
What we could do.
I'm surprised the second time around. Well, I guess that's in the further section. But the second time around, they could have beamed him into space, but didn't. I'm like, wow, you guys got a second, maybe a third time's the charm.
If you kill off all your customers.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Business.
And you don't have anybody doing customer service. So, that's going to be a problem.
And when the iris is closed, you didn't hear the voice go, "You shall not pass." So, that didn't happen.
Pay no attention to the computer behind the curtain.
But then the part that I forgot about is like, first off, in order to help ratings, they had Mayweather be shirtless, and he was definitely works out. You can see he's all dieseled and everything else, and he's looking good. And then you have Archer says, "Come to the area which no one's supposed to come."
But sir, isn't that the area that nobody's supposed to come? I mean, yes, sir, right away, sir.
Yeah, come here anyway. And then he runs off, and it's like, what the hell? And then you find out he's dead. What?
Can I just say something that really bothered me? That they had to kill off the only black guy on the show?
Ooh,
no, I used to warn my guys in the military that, because whenever you want a threat to be credible or something in every horror movie or something, either they kill the black dude first in war movies and everything else. So I used to tell the guys in my unit, you guys better protect me, because once I die, everything's going to hell.
Nathan.
So
that's just the way it goes.
and they thought it was quite amusing. But yeah, they killed him off. And I guess they did it also for more of an impact, because Mayweather is an endearing character.
Oh, he's one of the main characters. It's like if somebody killed Sulu all of a sudden, and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he was an endearing character, and it basically changes the whole thing, because now it adds a Scooby-Doo element. Like, something obviously called him down, and something already had blew a manifold out, and he went to go look at it. So we don't know how it exactly attacked him and how it got him. Well, it probably beamed him out, but it was definitely kind of interesting to see that.
So the thing I'm wondering about is that went after Travis just after it discovered Trip and Reed and beamed them back. I wonder if the two sequences are linked events or not. Is the computer system programmed to, if I get somebody poking in the wrong area, go take one of the other people? Or does it just do it anyway? I wonder if there's a program involved.
I think it probably just does it anyway. If nothing else, it probably was like, yeah, I don't need either of these two guys. I want Mayweather.
Yeah. I'm going to say what I think when we go to the next section. But yeah.
The motivations of it does kind of like, well, you guys were poking around and now this guy got killed. What the hell? I mean, is it that kind of thing? Or I wonder if there's an evil plotting mind behind the computer.
And then, it really makes you wonder. And the fact that Mayweather bit it, I was, the first time I saw this, I was highly agitated and upset. So it did do its job to get me more invested in the show, and is like, kill them all, let God sort them out type of thing. I guess we could jump into Act 3.
Act 3. Okay. Travis is dead, Jim. It's the isolatic shock that killed him, but why the heck was Travis down there in the first place, let alone playing with the power grid in the middle of the night, in the middle of off-limits time, without any permission? He'd usually at least ask permission, and Archer is like seriously pissed off now. He needs to speak to a manager, but your inquiry was not recognized. Reed goes to check out what Travis's last letters were, just the sister. Oh, yuck. You know, Reed likes reading the last letters to, women, but it's a sister. It doesn't work for him. Anyway, hot or not, Phlox is starting an autopsy, and Hoshi interrupts that whole thing. Oh, she wants to check it out, but she's seen dead bodies before, but it's different when you actually know the person. But, she's going to play it on it anyway and check it out. And she's telling this wonderful story, telling to Phlox about how one time Travis played a joke on her with sentient strawberry gelatin in the decon chamber, but it wasn't sentient blob or anything. It was just some jelly. It's all a really bummer time now because, Travis is dead, but he barely felt the thing. And Phlox is explaining that what actually happened. And hold on a second. Phlox is just about to solve the entire episode's problem all by himself. Yet again, it's a fake. Travis isn't dead after all. He was abducted. It's a bait and switch. Meanwhile, hey, the repairs are done. Trip's got the plasma. He's going to bring it into the repair station and also bringing a lot of complaints, while Reed, T'Pol, and Archer are sneaking back into that air shaft and crawling around. And to get past the trespassing detecting sensors, Reed sets those things off again and gets beamed away again. And T'Pol and Archer keep going on and check the place out and find a bunch of bodies networked together, including Travis. What the heck is going on here?
This part here kind of remind me of the Matrix a little bit. Because
thank you. That's what we screamed.
Yeah, because it's like, first off, the repair station's like, we got a bulb burnout on section 4. Well, we need a replacement. Or, well, this is one. That's pretty good. So let's go ahead and do the typical bait and switch. Okay, we're doing opposite 47. All right, we got it. It's like, you know what? That dark-skinned one looks like incredible shape. He'll last for a long time. All the others are like meat eaters. Get him.
I mean, they scanned everybody. Might as well. They're probably not going to miss this guy.
Yeah. So they went to go ahead and take him. But I like how Phlox's mind, he's really, in my opinion, one of the best characters on this show, is that Hoshi comes in and she wants to see Travis to say goodbye. And she talks about something that Phlox goes, wait a minute. And he goes and he scans and goes, okay, he's not dead. This is a doppelganger.
This isn't the guy. This is not the guy we found. I mean, where'd he go?
Yeah, because we had the vaccine for COVID-19 and everybody on the ship got vaccinated for it. And you get these little critter worms in there that should still be alive. But you got the blast. Shouldn't it kill them? Oh, no, they love it. They would have like really replicated even more.
They really get off on isolatic energy.
Yeah. So
I'm trying to look up what it wasn't COVID, of course.
No, it was a Rigelian Fever.
Thank you. Rigelian Fever. Yeah. And one guy came down with it. Crewman Fisher.
And they inoculated the whole ship.
Whoever Crewman Fisher was the one that caught it, and damn it, Crewman Fisher, you should be wearing your mask. But anyway, he came down with a Rigelian Fever, and Phlox inoculated, and
the whole crew.
The entire
I don't
crew
remember
was,
hearing anybody saying that we're not going to take the vaccine because it's going to make us magnetize the hull.
Well, I think on a ship you have to follow orders.
That's true.
I think everybody on the ship gets vaccinated or else.
Well, yeah, same thing in the service when I was in. I can't tell you how many needles and things that I was hit with. So yeah, and there's no like, I'm not going to take it because you're going to take it.
You're not going to take it. You're still going to take it. Yeah,
is none of this, but my rights. Yeah, you gave those up when you signed the contract.
That's right. We already have your right.
That's why we used to say USMC stood for you signed the motherfucking contract.
That's what it stands for.
So yeah. Okay. Yeah, because that was interesting. But now, once I find out Archer's like, I knew something was off.
I knew it. He was really ready to get, he wanted to take, and he was really frustrated because he knew something was off. He couldn't figure out what it was. Mm-hmm. And he wanted, and then, God, Travis is dead. Oh my God, this is horrible. It's like the worst nightmare getting even worse. Yeah, Archer's in a really bad place. And this gives him an opportunity to point at all this negative, horrible energy into a positive direction. We're going to take over.
Yeah. And it's like, you guys fucked up by crawling in the tubes, but now I'm going to vindicate you because I want you to crawl in the tubes.
Yeah. Now I'm going to actually order you to do it this time, not let you adventure off onto yourself.
Don't you guys think it's a little irresponsible that the minute Archer sees Mayweather hooked up to everything, he goes and starts pulling tubes out of him?
Yes.
Like there was literally fluids everywhere. He didn't know if that would kill him.
Although
it's open wounds.
That's technically the next section.
Just kidding.
But I do have a question for you. I was getting ready to ask something but I was going to wait for a little bit for that part came up because I know you, Steph, are extremely well versed in all kinds of subjects and all kinds of information, which I think is pretty friggin' awesome in that respect. What did you feel about the whole let's crawl through the iris and blow shit up, and the ship is like, it detects people crawling, but yet it's not detecting people blow a panel out?
Oh man, thank you. If she's all seeing, which she is, there were so many things that she conveniently ignored. And again, it's my main issue with Enterprise, where everything is just so convenient. She sees them when they need a plot point, and she doesn't see them when they need a different kind of plot point.
I look at this that it's really, it does scratch your head a little bit, because my response to that is, but it's just a stupid Siri or Alexa running the whole thing. Maybe a little bit more advanced than the ones we have now, but not too much more. And it's running a program. And when it's programmed to turn on the sensors, it can see everything. But when it's programmed not to, and part of the programming is stupid, because when they start blinding the sensors and blowing out the transporting mechanism, it doesn't freak out and beam everything off with a backup system. It's, it's like, it's not a very well-designed program. It seems weird. But at the same time, you discover there's all these bodies linked together, and they're using the brains because of the computing power of the cerebellum or whatever. And it doesn't make sense. If it's got such a fancy computing power, it still can't figure these simple self-defense things out.
Maybe what happened also, that when it beamed the bodies over, it's a voyeur. It's like, okay, we get the intruders. Let me watch him with his ass in the air on the bridge again. Look at that. Focus all your sensors on there.
It is pretty good. And it beams it right down to the bridge. So the place you're going to get into trouble is usually where your command people are. Put them right there.
Funny. Look, he's got a puckering starfish. Ha ha ha, we've scared him.
I mean, it should have beamed him there without the clothes on, just to be really mean.
That would have been really fun. But can we also talk a little bit about how Tucker's overacting?
Oh my.
His complaint department?
He was being a Karen.
The super Karen?
He was being a Ken. Thank you.
A Ken, okay. He's being a Ken.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So that was so funny. Oh my God.
Oh man. I have to say, that was a little rough to watch. The acting in this episode in particular really seemed to take it a place it shouldn't. It went some dark places, and not in a good way. But that, wow. I was
laughing so hard at his bad acting, because he has to put on, it's one thing to act. It's a second thing to act badly. So you're acting badly, and you're doing it to nothing. You're doing it to a machine with a voice. That's just a voice that doesn't even understand you 9 times out of 10. So try to imagine doing a major complaint scene department and carry it on long enough to distract the computer so they could go and sneak in around the back when he's not, because he's the distraction technique. I mean, it's just so bad.
Here's my other question, though. Again, she has sensors all over the ship. Why would she be distracted by one thing? Why would she literally repaired their entire ship in 35
This is
hours.
the problem with Enterprise and the writing, because it does feel a little bit of a Scooby-Doo thing going on, doesn't it?
It really was like, I don't know, our communication is down, and now everything I say is the double. It's like, it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, going through a tunnel.
Exactly.
It's like the plate is not right, and you use substandard bolts, and I'm not paying for shit until I see a manager. I just can't do it. So in the ship, of course, we're going to do this for Patrick. What the station should have responded goes, okay, what happened was.
Oh man, I'm sorry. The computer be like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Everything's fine. I mean, that inquiry was not recognized.
Yeah, it just that's even more frustrating. It's like trying to do the dozens with someone, and they kept saying, "I know you are, but what am I?"
Right. I mean, it is. It really is.
But I will say his overreacting was his Dan. Would you say Ken? His Ken was painful to watch the way he was going about it.
It's the distraction to the whole fact that the warp plasma actually is rigged to explode. But don't even pay attention to that, because I'm complaining.
But then he storms off and don't even puts it in the transport thing. He just storms off and leaves it in the middle of the floor like, here's your payment. You put it away yourself.
Well, at that point, the place feels like it's about to explode. I think, is that the next section?
Yep, that's the next section. Move on to the next.
Okay, let me see here. My next section. And did I scroll to the right place on my notes? Here we go. Okay, because it starts with the line. Incursion detected in primary data core. Vacate this station or your vessel will be compromised. Archer ignores the warnings and starts yanking out the tubes out of Travis. I don't think you're supposed to pull tubes that hard. Especially not like that. The repair station gets a little upset. Archer and T'Pol blast through a wall to escape, and Trip makes a run for it. But the station's having none of it. It starts locking down the Enterprise and taking over. But it's not the only one good at bait and switch, because the warp plasma was rigged to go kaboom. And wait for it. Eventually, the O2 is ignited and Reed's happy because the repair station is suddenly in need of massive repairs itself. So then Enterprise makes a run for it. They all get away. But what's up with that freaky neural interface that Travis had implanted? Does this sound Borgish to you? And pay no attention to the repair station regenerating at the end of the show.
The whole thing with him pulling out the tubes, just like Steph said, it's like he should have scanned it and find out what those tubes were doing rather than
don't just yank those out. You don't know where that is. I mean, you saw blood gushing out of one. I'm like, holy shit!
Seriously,
where is blood gushing out the other side too? You just need to put a Band-Aid on that at least.
It's like, Captain, thank you for saving me.
Yeah, exactly. Archer is so continuously irresponsible. He's the worst captain.
And if you've ever had a catheter pulled out, now I'm old enough to have experienced this, and I have to advise you, if you at all have a chance to, don't get this, avoid it at all possible. But if you have a yank, they don't just yank them out like that. And thank God they don't, because they take them out nice and gently. And it still is freaky.
It's hard. And we had something that if someone went to caught a disease of VD, and they had a way to be able to clean it out if you had gonorrhea, which was
you got to scrub that sucker down on the inside.
Yeah, so they would put like a steel umbrella down the urethra.
I'm trying to imagine the pipe cleaners.
And then
like
they would open it up they would open up the little umbrella and they would clean. So yeah, that would be the type of
medical
pain.
technology. So you got to be careful when you see somebody hooked up to a bunch of tubes. You just don't go yanking on them like that.
No,
not Archer. He's all he does is yank. So It's just one skill.
One big yank.
Yep, it's his. It's
No
his
wonder
one skill.
Portos looks at him strange. He's probably seen a lot of yanking in his court.
Man, he's really good at yanking.
Sure has.
Oh man.
And then they had all the Matrix bodies there. There was a Cleon. There was everything else. But okay, this bothered me a little bit. I understand being concerned with your own crew member.
Thank you.
I get
Yes.
that. But he's like, we got our crew member. Fuck everybody else.
Yes, that was my.
They scanned. They said there's no, it's not worth saving everyone else. Plus the place is exploding around in front. Yeah, I mean, honestly, no body left behind, right?
But they didn't know that when they rescued Mayweather.
Yeah, you gotta at least beam everybody out of there at the end, just to
Yes.
bring them back to the people they belong to. Say, hey, we found this person. At least ID them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because maybe that culture has a really important burial ritual that they can engage with.
That is not the way you want to go to Sto'Vo'Kkor.
No.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, that really bothered me. Like, again, Archer is the worst captain. He's just like, just do a cursory scan while I pull out the tubes of my crew member. Oh, we can't do that for everyone? Well, whatever. We got Mayweather. Let's go.
You know what? If they had Captain Kirk in this episode, he would, of course, talk to the computer, and instead of getting a repair job done, he just would have talked the logic out of it, and it would have stopped working.
Yes. And if it was Picard, he would have beamed everybody over. If it was Janeway, she would have talked to the computer, shut it down, and then beamed everybody over.
And blow it up.
Because Janeway's the best. But
well, if it was Cisco, he would have said, sucks to be you.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. He would have been like, well, I guess today is just going to be one of those days.
Seriously. Well, it really, and it's like, oh, come on. But he doesn't find that out, and Phlox doesn't tell him about the cerebral thing, that they're all worthless until after the fact.
Yeah, after they're blown up.
Yeah, he's like, well, there's nothing you can do anyway because their brain damage was too far gone.
I wonder if this is a plot point I missed.
I don't think you missed anything. I think it was something that was just tacked on.
Yeah, but it does look like the Borg implant, one of the early versions of the Borg implant.
Yeah, was this a prequel to the Borg?
No, the Borg was in another side of the galaxy. So
this is just like a Borg powered by an Alexa.
Yeah, it's just a happy coincidence.
Well, you have to wonder. It's the whole thing of evolution. Well, you'll have similar evolution in completely isolated parts of the galaxy or the world or wherever you are. And so you have to wonder if artificial intelligence just naturally develops itself to become a parasitic entity like the Borg.
This is not the first time we've seen an artificial intelligence running off on its own. We've seen V'ger.
Yep.
I was just going to say V'ger.
Nomad.
Yeah.
And if the keen-eyed people would have seen a model in Travis's quarters, apparently had a version of Nomad in there, like a small model version of Nomad. I thought that was cool. I missed that one. And I was reading through the Memory Alpha notes and I'm like, that's cool.
It was on his desk.
Yeah. So it's a sentient computer system designed to repair things all the time, but it's got a side mission.
To launch on Stephanie's point is that a lot of people aren't aware. What you said is so true because the White brothers are known to invent the airplane, but actually that was being invented all over the world. The same thing with the light bulb. The same thing with a lot of people get the idea.
With television and radio,
and everything else.
all
People
that
get
stuff.
the idea. So
then you hear about
when
these
it came to
funky
intelligence.
patent lawsuits. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? We had televisions way back when, before everyone else. And they're like, we were working on it too. I'm like,
a lot of people did. And then they have the movie Christine with Stephen King, Christine, about the car. At the very, very end, you see the antenna move when they cube the car. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie or read the book. That's what that part of at the end of the station was. Because you think it's all blown up, it's destroyed, and you have an arm that's starting to repair everything.
It's still working.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is not the last we may have seen of this repair station. I love how close. I mean, just right at the end, it's regenerating. It feels Borgish to me. I mean, but you're right. It can't possibly be the Borg because they're even at this point in time, I think they're moved along better than this.
Yeah.
So it's like a speak and spell and Alexa got together and had a repair station.
Basically, yeah. I definitely think it was a convergent evolution thing.
It really was definitely kind of cool to see. And now with all of its plug-in parts gone, gone, I bet you it won't take a couple of hours to fix anything else anymore because his computing power is gone until it can start plugging people back in again.
Think about the next person that come along with their broke ass ship and it's like, oh my God, we need help. Okay, this system will fix your ship in 300 days. Oh, cool. It'll fix this in a year. This will take a decade to fix. Awesome.
You know, imagine if the Ferengi showed up.
Oh my God. They'd haggle the price like crazy.
No, they would try to take the whole thing apart and take it back. Do you know how much Copress Latinum this thing is worth? Let's drag it to our whole planet and then charge people to use it.
Oh man.
Maybe that's what happened. It was a intelligent computer AI that the Ferengi got a hold of and says, we can make a business out of this. Make it a repair station.
What is your routing number? Your routing number. We need your routing number.
Exactly.
I do not understand your query. Bank account information.
Social security number.
Agent. I want to speak to an agent, for fuck's sake. Agent.
That would be funny. In this recreation room, do you know Umax? Can you say Umax? That would be funny. But what did you think of this episode there, Steph? On a 1 to 10.
On a 1 to 10? Okay, I just want to check. Rocky, you said that this is one of your favorite episodes?
It's okay not to agree. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, we don't get mad.
I'm giving it a 1.
Ooh.
Yeah, I can understand why. And how about you, Rocky?
I was caught up in the whole story, and I'm a geek, so I'm an engineerish kind of geek. So I'm kind of like, this is so cool. A space station that fixes your broken stuff. I mean, I was like, this is so much fun. I think the battle against the AI is always exciting to me, even if it's a stupid AI. I mean, it was Alexa before we had Alexa. So I just thought that was kind of cool. It reminded me of when you grew up and you're typing basic computer programs. They still do basic these days. They're probably typing HTML now. But when you did the original basic and you typed in something wrong into the computer, it would just give you a syntax error. And it didn't tell you what you did wrong. It just gives you syntax error. So I was like, what the fuck did I do? And you're looking at it, you're fixing things and you're trying to fix it. And like a syntax error. If you're lucky, it'll tell you syntax error in line 20. And you look at line 20 and go, I don't know what I did wrong here. Anyway, it reminded me of that experience, but that experience is running, the whole scenario and you're battling up against it. I think that's fascinating. You're up against the computer. It's like playing the video game back in the day. You've got to outsmart the stupid computer, but it's always faster and quicker than you. So yeah, no, I enjoyed the challenge of this episode and I got caught up in it. It's one of my favorites. It's one of the most memorable ones for me from Enterprise. And I'm probably up there with a 9.
For me, visually, the way it looked and how they did everything, I would give it, now these are separate categories for me. So I would give it about a 6 about a 6 for Archer's command style during this one. And the convenient, I forgot that I can do these things plot point, I would have to give it about maybe a 3. So you'd have to average those two out because I got annoyed a little bit about the whole, like Steph said, was like, I can see you. Now I can't see you because I have only one sensor that turned on at a time. So yeah, that was a little bit of annoying. But other than that, again, I like seeing the progression of the show, showing the damage and continuing on. The shows aren't like, what did you say last week there, Rocky? This wasn't a bottle episode. So
the funny thing is it's in one of the notes, it says this episode is considered a bottle show. So I'm like, oh really? Because it really connected to the previous episode, kind of seriously.
So yeah, this isn't a bottle show.
Yeah, but I guess they're saying the plot of this episode doesn't necessarily affect the future, although it was certainly affected by the previous episode. So it's kind of an interesting way of thinking.
I would want to know what they did with Mayweather's body.
Yeah, what did they do with the spare? I mean, what are you going to do with that?
I wondered the same thing. If they just beamed it out into space. Or...
I would put it on ice and use it for parts replacement,
Yeah, maybe you can recycle some of that stuff.
Seriously. I lost an eye. Well, where's the part?
I got a dead one for you. It'll be good as new. Oh, cool.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Neelix Light can just hold on to it for future medical needs.
Oh, man. One of the notes I thought was kind of interesting. It took them about a week to shoot this episode.
Did it?
That's actually, I think that's pretty quick considering all that we're doing with it. Although you can see, it did feel like at some point I felt like the acting was a little like Archer's like upset, but he's like really over upset. He's not his normal self. I don't know what was up with that. I wonder what the directions were.
See, that's what I was wondering. And I think my problem is I'm coming at it from the standpoint of a director, right? So I keep getting pulled out by the bad acting. I mean, Hoshi's whole bit when she's standing over Mayweather's body, that whole speech was so bad. It was so bad. And I really like that actor. She's great. But in that scene, it just took me right out. And that kept happening for the whole episode.
And Trip was like, I mean, his over the top was a little over the top. I mean, it really did feel like, no, that was great. That's great. Cut it, print it. Let's move to the next thing.
Yes.
So I think this was Roxanne's, one of her early jobs at directing.
It was. And she, we all make our mistakes when we're first directing, and especially if you're coming at it as an actor, right? It can sometimes be hard to kind of ground your actors when you're trying to do a bit, right? But I was really surprised to find out that she had directed this, because I've seen her other things and she's fantastic.
Yeah, this is a learning process.
At the same time, you guys are saying this, I'm sitting here going, this was a great episode. This was awesome. I had a lot of fun watching this. I was very entertained, incredibly entertained. And I don't care how, some people think, oh, that acting was bad. But I'm like, I was having fun over here.
But see, this is what makes a big difference between us and other people in the fandom. We can disagree and not like be full of vitriol and hate towards one another because we had opposite opinions.
Right. Well, because it's made for somebody, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's out there and it's gonna resonate, differently. Like Rocky.
This is me raising my hand over here in the corner.
Yeah. But like, Rocky, you had a completely different perspective on it. This is what I love about film and television, is like everyone's coming at it from their own personal experiences, right? And so something is going to hit a note and become really meaningful to somebody in a way that it would not resonate with somebody else, because I'm not an engineer, right? So I'm watching this, and I'm a director, and so I'm watching it for the acting, and I'm tearing my hair out. But you get to watch it and be like, oh, this is fun because this is the beginning of this, and I can see how this is connected, and this reminds me of this experience. I mean, Star Trek's also really good at that. There's such a breadth of storytelling within Star Trek.
Well, I enjoy the rewatch of Enterprise is so much fun because when I get to hear Heather's reaction, she absolutely hates Archer with a major passion.
Oh, me too.
And it's all his decision-making process. And I never experienced that. So it's fascinating to hear about. And you go look at it logically and go, yeah, maybe that was kind of a crazy decision. Why did he do that? It brings more to the show. I mean, I enjoy it that much more.
Right. Because if I ever rewatch this episode, I'm going to be rewatching it thinking about what you said, Rocky, how you were watching it, what you were thinking of, and it'll bring me a different level of joy. Well,
I'm looking at it. You think about how a computer works. I mean, how does it know what it's doing, and why is it making a decision process? It's physically looking at sensors doing certain things and taking actions that were pre-programmed. That fascinates me. I think that's really cool shit. Yeah. So I really am jonesing with this episode.
Ah, that's so cool. See, I love that. And this episode made me want to kill myself. So, we all got something.
I'm glad you didn't, but
happy you're on it. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, Enterprise is never going to win, guys. Enterprise is never going to win.
Well, they kind of canceled it, right?
Well, we're leaving Enterprise soon anyway, because Lower Decks is coming out. So we're going to be reviewing, going back to Lower Decks, and we'll be leaving Enterprise for a while. So that's a thing to look forward to.
Well, that's good. Bye, Archer.
We're coming close to our end here because I have something I need to take care of on reports before the submission over to Starfleet. However, on the next episode that we're going to be watching,
Lower Decks hits next week, right?
So that means this was our last?
I think so.
Okay, then put a pin in it. We will not be doing a night in sickbay. We're going to be returning with Lower Decks, and we'll be able to see them. We go over with that. I want to thank you, Stephanie, for allowing us to bring you on board the ship again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's always awesome having you here. You are just simply amazing. So that's a good thing. We're going to start tying up. And Rocky, thank you for doing a stand-in for Heather. I'm sure she'll show her appreciation.
I had to kind of crouch in because I'm a lot taller than she is.
Yeah, and thank you for also, she'll probably thank you by not cooking you something.
Oh, good.
So that would work. Once again, please make sure you join up on our Patreon. Go to our website. You get all of the show notes and stuff when they're tagged in. If you're curious about what we look at, go to starfleetunderground.com, and we have every guest, including Stephanie. We have everyone's picture and bio, so you can get a chance to see us. So thank you so much for joining us. Make sure that not only you have a great week, but make it so.
And if you can, support the show by going to patreon.com/Starfleet Underground. Lots of perks to choose from, and you might even like some of them. Starfleet Underground, beaming into a podcast feed near you. Log on to our website at starfleetunderground.com and send your comments and questions to thecollective@starfleetunderground.com. Follow us on Twitter at StarfleetUnderG and on Facebook and Instagram, we're Starfleet Underground.